Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into one of the most terrifying and awe-inspiring creatures in all of prehistory, the terror bird. Imagine a bird, taller than a man, with a skull like a pickaxe and a beak sharp enough to crush bone. A feathered predator that couldn't fly, but could run down its prey at speeds of over 30 miles per hour. For millions of years, these giants, known to science as phorusrhacids, were the apex predators of South America. The fossil record is clear. They were very, very real. But then, around 1.8 million years ago, they vanished. Or did they? Deep in the world's most remote jungles and unexplored plains, stories persist. Whispers of giant, flightless, aggressive birds that stalk the shadows. Indigenous legends speak of feathered monsters that snatch livestock and even attack humans. These aren't just quaint folktales. They are eyewitness accounts, sometimes startlingly consistent, from people who live in these isolated regions. But what if I told you these modern myths might be echoes of a prehistoric truth? What if the reign of the terror birds never truly ended? Scientists are adamant that they are long extinct, victims of climate change and competition from saber-toothed cats and other placental mammals that migrated from the north. The official story is that the last of their kind died out well before humans ever set foot in the Americas. But the line between established fact and folklore is often blurry. How do we explain the startlingly similar descriptions of aggressive, giant birds from the Amazon to the plains of Argentina? Could small, isolated populations have survived, hidden from the eyes of science? We're about to explore 5 legends, 5 terrifying possibilities, that suggest the terror birds of the Cenozoic era might have left more than just fossils behind. We'll examine the ancient tales, the scientific evidence, and the chilling modern encounters. Join me as we journey to the edge of the map to ask the question, could terror birds still exist today? Number 5. The forest rocos of the Pampas. Let's start in the place where it all began, the vast, grassy plains of Argentina, the Pampas. This was the original stomping ground of one of the most famous terror birds, Forest asterisk. Standing around 8 feet tall, it was a formidable predator. Ancient texts don't exist for this creature, as it officially died out millions of years before written language. But the oral traditions of the indigenous peoples of this region, like the Mapuche and Tehuelche, are ancient. They contain stories of giant, aggressive, flightless birds. While many folklorists attribute these tales to the rhea, a large, native flightless bird, some details don't quite fit. The rhea is primarily an herbivore and is generally shy and avoids humans. The creatures in the legends are described as being fiercely territorial, carnivorous, and unafraid of people, sometimes even actively hostile. They are spoken of with a fear that seems disproportionate for a rhea. Legends describe a bird with a powerful, hooked beak capable of killing sheep and even calves, a description far more aligned with Forest asterisk than any known living bird. Believers in its survival suggest that the vast, sparsely populated expanses of the Pampas could easily hide a small, relict population. Skeptics argue that these are simply exaggerated tales, where the known rhea has been imbued with monstrous qualities over generations of storytelling, a warning to children to respect the local wildlife. The lack of any physical evidence, no carcasses, no feathers, no confirmed tracks, makes the Pampas legend a tantalizing but ultimately unsubstantiated ghost story from the distant past. Number 4. The Gastornis of Europe's ancient forests. Now, let's travel across the Atlantic to Europe. While not a true phorusrhacid, Gastornis asterisk was Europe's own version of a terror bird. It was a massive, flightless bird that lived during the Eocene epoch, around 50 million years ago. For a long time, its huge, powerful beak led paleontologists to believe it was a fearsome predator. However, more recent scientific analysis has changed this view dramatically. Studies of its bone structure and chemical isotopes suggest Gastornis asterisk was likely an herbivore, using its massive beak to crush tough plant material, nuts, and seeds. So why is it on our list? Because folklore from remote parts of Europe, such as the tales of the Bassajon from Basque Country or other wildman legends, sometimes describe encounters with giant, bird-like creatures in the deep forests. While these are often dismissed as pure myth, some cryptozoologists have pointed to the possibility that these are distorted folk memories of a real creature. The theory goes that perhaps a smaller, more adaptable descendant of Gastornis survived into the age of early humans, its terrifying appearance cementing its place in regional mythology long after it finally vanished. This is, of course, highly speculative. The scientific consensus is that Gastornis and all of its relatives have been extinct for tens of millions of years. There's zero fossil evidence to suggest they survived anywhere near the time of modern humans. While the image of a giant bird stalking the Black Forest is a compelling one, it almost certainly belongs entirely to the realm of fiction. The link is purely conjectural, a way of trying to fit a mythical peg into a prehistoric hole. Number 3. The Titanis of the Florida swamps. Let's head back to the Americas, specifically to North America. The only terror bird known to have made it out of South America was Titanis walleri asterisk. This behemoth stood over 8 feet tall and weighed around 330 pounds. It crossed the Isthmus of Panama during the Great American Interchange and thrived in the grasslands and subtropical woodlands of Florida and Texas. The official extinction date for Titanes asterisk is around 1.8 million years ago, but some controversial findings have suggested it might have survived much longer. In 1995, fossil discoveries in the Santa Fe River in Florida were initially dated to as recently as 10,000 years ago, which would mean Titanes asterisk coexisted with the first humans in North America, the Paleo-Indians. This idea was electrifying. If humans saw these creatures, it would perfectly explain the source of some Native American legends of giant birds. However, further, more rigorous dating of the site has since debunked this late survival, placing the fossils back into the accepted timeframe of nearly 2 million years ago. Still, the possibility lingers in the minds of cryptozoology enthusiasts. The swamps and vast, dense wetlands of Florida, like the Everglades, are impenetrable wildernesses where a creature could theoretically remain hidden. Reports of a creature called the Glades bird, or chickcharney, sometimes surface, a large, aggressive, flightless bird. Skeptics point out these sightings are incredibly rare and are almost certainly misidentifications of large wading birds like sandhill cranes or the whooping crane, which can stand up to 5 feet tall and be surprisingly aggressive when defending a nest. Without a body, a clear photo, or DNA evidence, the Florida terror bird remains a fascinating what-if scenario that science has, for now, put to rest. Number 2. The terror birds of the Amazon rainforest is perhaps the most credible location on this list for a surviving prehistoric creature. It's one of the largest, least explored regions on Earth. Indigenous tribes deep within the jungle have legends that are startlingly specific. The Yain people of Peru, for example, speak of the Sachivaca aviforme, or the tapir-like bird, a giant, flightless bird said to be capable of killing a tapir. Other tribes have stories of aggressive, ostrich-like birds with powerful claws and hooked beaks. These descriptions are often collected by anthropologists who note they don't match any known animal in the region. From a scientific standpoint, the dense rainforest isn't the ideal habitat for the large, fast-running terror birds of the open plains that we know from the fossil record. However, smaller species of terror birds, like those from the subfamily Caelopterini, were more slender and agile. Some scientists have theorized that a smaller, more forest-adapted species could have evolved. These birds, perhaps the size of a large cassowary, could potentially find a niche in the Amazon. The primary skeptic argument is, as always, the lack